Hey guys, welcome to the BJJ for Life podcast. Today I'm going to go over how you can make yourself feel less beat up, get healthier, get your body built to be more durable for jiu-jitsu, and ultimately improve your performance. And if competitions are your thing, you're going to improve your competitions. Um, uh, when I first started making content for jiu-jitsu, guys, like I said that there's a lot of content for like younger guys, athletic guys, guys who want to make jiu-jitsu their life, but I wanted to provide information, quality information of ways that guys who are a little older, maybe I'm in my late 30s, but maybe like 40s, 45, 50s, who love jiu-jitsu, they want to train jiu-jitsu, but they want to do it without like completely destroying the body. And maybe they want to do a couple competitions a few times a year and just really stay in the sport for a while because there's so much value to them, okay? And that's kind of what this video will be today is like if that's you, if you train say 3 or 5 times a week, but you're feeling a little beat up and you want to get healthier for jiu-jitsu, you want to build a more durable body, this is going to be for you. So the first thing is I'm going to get you strength training. Strength training is really important for a few reasons. When we're stronger and we have more muscles around our joints and ligaments, we can just handle more stress on the body. Like injuries don't happen so much. When they do, we can kind of bounce back a lot quicker. Another thing about strength training is like if you think about recovery, you don't have to recover as hard when you're strong. Um, and sometimes I'll hear guys like, oh, doing jujitsu is like the hardest thing you can do. And I really don't think it's the hardest thing you can do. Like I've done like workout programs or you do CrossFit. CrossFit's probably harder, but it's just because of some people's low level of fitness. So it's really important to um, strength train. And when you strength train, it's not going to be as stressful on the body, which means you can train more if you want. But more than anything, you're probably going to feel better the next day. And your body's not going to have to work so hard to recover. So make sure you strength train. But if this is a person who hasn't been in the weight room for a while, we're going to start off really slow. So I'd focus on low volume here. So I'd probably just do maybe 1 to 2 sets per exercise, like working sets. So if you don't know, the difference between a working set and a warm-up set would be a working set would be a set that is hard, and warm-up sets are sets that are kind of light, and they kind of get you warmed up for the heavy sets. Um, and they kind of ramp in a way they ramp you up. For example, if a hard set of squats would be like 100 pounds, if you go right to 100 pounds, you might hurt yourself, right? Like that's a big jump. You go from not squatting to squatting 100 pounds. So one set, you might do a set with 30 pounds, then you might do a set with 60 pounds, then maybe you bump to 100 pounds. So that's what when I say 1 to 2 sets. And I'd also keep the intensity or the RPE low. So intensity is how hard a set is. So usually we describe this as how close are you to failure. So if you're taking your set to absolute failure, you couldn't do a single rep. That's like from a scale of 1 to 10, that'd be like a 10, right? If you have a few reps left in the tank, maybe that's like an 8 or 9 here. And the thing with that, I want to have that super low, but you could probably be in an RP 6 or 7 because if you haven't done this in years, if you haven't lifted since your 20s or something, like you're going to see you're going to see gains just like moving the body like this. So you don't need to go crazy with the intensity. You don't have to go super heavy. That will come in time, and we'll progress the sets. We'll progress the intensity. But at first, um, you don't need to do a lot of work to start seeing some durability gains, some strength and performance gains, because the little that you do is going to be stressful for your body to adapt. Again, down the road, we're definitely going to increase that intensity, but this will allow you to not completely destroy yourself in the gym so that your jiu-jitsu is negatively affected and that you have a harder time recovering. Because again, we're strength training so that we have better recovery, have better durability. So if you go into this strength session and you just kill yourself, it's not going to be a great idea. Another thing that I would talk about as far as strength training goes, is I'd probably strength train like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I would make sure the exercise selection is really important. So if I train someone online or if I train someone in person, I always do some type of assessment. I at least want to see how they move. And when I see someone move, I can see like where this person may be like really tight, what movements they might have trouble with. So for example, if someone has extremely tight hips, I know we're going to have to really work on opening the hips up and doing drills that are going to open the hips so doing leg exercises are easy like squat because that person's probably going to have some challenges doing squats, RDLs, hip hinges, and we have to address that. So I'm not going to give them an advanced variation of exercise if they have trouble. So for example, if someone has a really tight hip, I'm not going to have them do a barbell back squat because that's a really advanced squat variation. I might start them with like a bodyweight box squat. Next thing I would do is I would have them test their resting heart rate first thing in the morning for like a week and just get the average. And if you wake up and your resting heart rate is constantly in the high 60s, 70s or more, like your aerobic fitness is probably extremely poor. And that's something that we'd want to develop. So I'd probably try to if I can convince the person to squeeze some time, maybe one 60-minute session or two 30-minute sessions of just working on aerobic fitness. And how we do this would be we would do something that we could do for an extended period of time, um, low to moderate intensity. So usually when we do this, we're trying to keep the heart rate in between like 120 to 150, and just maintain that. And usually when we do cyclical exercises, so exercise where like a bike, elliptical, walking, things that you kind of repeat, those tend to be a little better. If we start doing too much circuits where our blood pressure goes up, it's not as effective as improving our aerobic capacity. When we improve our aerobic capacity, it's going to improve our endurance, but our aerobic system is in charge of our body's recovery. So if we have a higher aerobic fitness, that drops our resting heart rate, and we tend to recover faster more in between our sessions, but even in between rounds. So if you do a hard round with someone in 60 seconds, you'll be good. That's the power of aerobic fitness. Um, so that's like the strength and conditioning stuff. As far as a jiu-jitsu thing, like depending on the level of the jiu-jitsu person, I might start talking to them about BJJ BJJ economy. So this is how efficient you are on the mat. So when you're a white belt or even blue belt, like everything is super hard. Every grip you give, you're super intense. There's they're just not very it's not very efficient because you don't have that technique there. You don't have a high level of technique. You try to make up for being more aggressive, for um being like for using your strength, using your speed. And what happens is that can just really tire you out. And so if every round or if every day all your rounds are like you're doing the ADC, they're super tense, super hard, it's gonna be very hard to recover. Plus, from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, your development is often worse when when you're rolling like that, you're kind of rolling like, hey, I'm trying to win practice, right? I'm trying to win these rounds. And when you have that mindset and you don't open up and try new things and build different parts of your game, you end up being maybe a one-trick pony because you have to slow things down and put yourself in vulnerable positions to build new parts of your game, right? Or try new things. And if you're always trying your best stuff because you're trying to win competitions, it's definitely going to handicap your jiu-jitsu. So just from a recovery standpoint, and a jiu-jitsu progression standpoint, doing this is very important. And this brings me to I'm sorry about that. I just have the notes on here for everything I wanted to talk about. So this brings me to the high-low method, which is I believe a strength coach called Charlie Francis did this with his sprinters, and they're very like high-level sprinters. I think they won the Olympics and stuff like that. But anyway, so basically all it is that you never go. I don't want to say never, but usually what you're trying to do is if you have a very high intensity day or hard day, you want a low intensity day the next day, and you want to alternate that. So high intensity would be maybe a day you lift weights, a day that you train jiu-jitsu, maybe it's a competition day, maybe it's like just rounds you roll really hard. So, for example, I'm a brown belt. So when you're a low belt, this is a little tougher to do. But if I know if I go on a Monday, there's going to be a lot of lower belts in class. So it's not going to be the most intense training session. But if I go Tuesdays and there's more black belts, purple belts, brown belts, or even just younger people, I know it's going to be a physically more exhausting day, and I'm going to try real harder anyways. So that would be an example of a high day. So what we want to do is a high low method from both a strength like say exercise stuff and jiu-jitsu stuff. So if I have one day where I'm rolling really hard, maybe the next day I'm gonna try to relax a little more, play around, try new things, open up. Um, and then as far as fitness goes, on I'm not going to try strength train 2 days in a row because usually if you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're doing full body workout. So I'd probably do strength training on one day. Sorry about that. So, like I was saying, what I'd probably do is I would strength train one day, and then we're gonna take a rest day, and we're gonna do something easy to recover from as far as gym stuff. So that could be some doing like a maybe a 30-minute mobility workout. Maybe that's aerobic. So I talked about the importance of if you need it, aerobic fitness. Aerobic fitness is something really great because it doesn't take much to recover from. It's not very stressful. So you could definitely lift weights, do aerobic day, lift weights, do aerobic day. Um, but I would plan that, or I would plan your sessions accordingly like that. And sometimes, as far as jujitsu, it doesn't always go. You might have a day where you're gonna take it easy, and then you might see some training partners where usually you go with. So, um, you guys like to roll hard, and get after it. So then maybe you kind of toss it out the window. But if you can do this most of the time, like you're going to feel a lot better physically instead of just trying to roll hard every session. Another thing I like to do related to this is if I can combine like a weight day and a hard jiu-jitsu session. So I know like Tuesdays and Thursdays are usually the hardest sessions for me just because I do more jiu-jitsu sessions and um, usually there's just high level guys there, which is going to be more competitive rounds, especially if I'm trying to get up towards like a competition. So I know those days are going to be stressful. So I try to lift weights on those days if my schedule allows it. Sometimes things come up and I have to move things around, which is fine. But if you can, it's just going to help with recovery. And the reason for that is that your your low days will actually be low days. And this can kind of work great if you don't train that much. So I train 6 days a week, but say you train jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, and you can put your lifting days on those same days. The other days will be pure resting days, which will allow you to actually rest. But if you go hard on the mat, say Monday, then you lift weights hard Tuesday, you're back on the mats hard Wednesday, you don't actually have a recovery day because every day you're training hard. So if you can stack them, a lot of times that's very beneficial. And sometimes I get pushed back with this. People be like, "Oh, if you do this, you can get hurt. It's too much in one day." But honestly, like when you know that you're going to do jujitsu later, like you're not going to lift like an asshole. Like I talked about before with lifting, is like you don't have to go super hard, especially if you're just starting out. Leaving some reps, basically reps in the tank, and not going crazy. Um, because as far as what we want out of our strength training is, and we want to get results. We want to improve. We want to get stronger. We want to build durable bodies. So we don't need to go super hard. Um, like I said, we don't need to go super hard all the time. We just need to create a stimulus so that our body will get stronger over time. We don't have to go to the gym and like max out and ego lift. Doing that stuff is okay, so, like sometimes, but again, that shouldn't be your regular. And then the next thing is improving nutrition. Like if you always be up from jiu-jitsu, how's your nutrition look? Because if you don't have proper nutrition, your recovery is going to be compromised, especially if it's a calorie if it's a calorie issue. So like if you're eat under say like everyone has basically a set calories, even if you don't track your calories, that if you eat the calories, you'll maintain your weight. That's your maintenance calories. If you eat below that, you'll start losing weight. That's called a calorie deficit. If we eat over that, that's a calorie surplus and we should gain weight. Now, what you can do to figure this out, it'll give you a ballpark, not exact number. You'll have to make adjustments and track it over time. But if you go to Google and type in TDEE calculator, it'll give you a lot of I guess calculus that you would just put like usually your height, your age, your sex, a couple of the questions I think, and it would just give you a rough estimate of what your maintenance calories is. And the reason why this is important, if you're eating less than your maintenance calories, your body under recovers because you're not giving the body enough resources it needs to recover. So if you want to not be beat up, if you want better recovery, you have to eat at maintenance calories. And that's something I feel like no one really talks about. When people, especially older guys, when people are beat up, it's right to the TRT and the peptides and all that stuff. And that stuff probably definitely has its place eventually. But if you're not like to me, like if you're not doing the basic stuff, let's just start there. Um, so once you eating maintenance calories, make sure you eat enough protein. Protein's like the building block of all tissue in your body. So if you're under eating protein, your muscles probably not recovering, and if your muscles are under recovering over time, and you keep stressing it out, like the chance of injuries are going to go up. So I would get your protein check. So if you just do 1 gram of body weight, you're probably in a good place. If you're a guy who has a lot of weight to lose, you could go goal body weight. So say you're 200 pounds, you want to be like 160, you could set it at like 160 grams of protein. And then carbohydrates. Sometimes people fear carbohydrates, but carbohydrates are really, really good for improving performance and recovery. A body wants them. So the best time to have carbohydrates is you can have them you can have them throughout the day. But if you want to be a little more strategic, they should definitely be around your workout. So there should be some types of carbs or sugar before your workout, post workout, and at night. I'm a big fan of carbs at night because carbs, if you ever eat like a heavy carb meal, you feel that it kind of gets you tired, right? It will almost relax you, which is a good. It's not the best thing maybe in the middle of the day, but at night that's a good thing because that's going to help you go to sleep sooner and get into deeper sleep, which is what we're going to talk about next. Next is how's your sleep quality. So again, if you're not really prioritizing sleep, you go into bed at 12 o'clock, you're watching TV too late, you're scrolling on your phone, you're not going to you're not giving the body all its resources it needs to recover. And if you're like, hey, I'm training jiu-jitsu 5 days a week, I'm going to lift 2 days a week, and I want to get ready for the competition, and you want up the training, up the intensity, but your nutrition doesn't change, your sleep doesn't change, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So usually what I try to say is try to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And the more sleep we can get before 12 a.m., the better. So I usually always say is like try to be sleeping by 10 p.m. And most people can do that. So that's how I would, if you're an older guy and you want to train jiu-jitsu and you want to be more durable, you're feeling a little beat up, this is what I would do. Start slowly incorporating strength training. If you need it, start improving your aerobic fitness. um address like how you train. Not every day should be like the ADC at your gym. Address your nutrition. Make sure you eat enough calories. Make sure you have high quality foods. Make sure that you prioritize your sleep. If you do those things, you're probably gonna make huge improvements your performance, your durability, and how you feel and how fast you recover.